Wayne Newton is 83 years old and still performs several nights a week in Las Vegas. He is not doing it just for fun. He continues to work because he needs to. At the height of his career, he was worth between $50 and $100 million. He performed for presidents, broke entertainment records, and in 1983 Guinness World Records named him the highest-paid entertainer in the world. But later came financial trouble, bankruptcies, lawsuits, and unpaid loans. By 2019, strangers were trying to auction off his most personal belongings, including his mother's handmade costumes, letters from famous legends, and treasured items from a life he had spent more than 60 years building. Many people began to wonder how the man known as Mr. Las Vegas had fallen so far. Wayne Newton was born on April 3, 1942, in Norfolk, Virginia. From the beginning, his life stood between different worlds. His father, Patrick, worked as an auto mechanic and had Powhatan Native American ancestry. His mother, Evelyn, had Cherokee and German roots. Their mixed heritage later influenced the kind of music Wayne would love and perform. During Wayne's early childhood, life felt uncertain. His father served in the United States Navy during World War II, so his mother carried most of the responsibility at home. She held the family together during wartime, dealing with rationing and the constant worry that came whenever letters from overseas stopped arriving. Young Wayne remembered the silence in the house when no letters came, and how his mother would stare out the window for hours, waiting for news. As a small child, Wayne struggled with severe asthma. What first seemed like a simple breathing problem quickly became something much more serious. Doctors warned his parents that the condition could kill him if they did not make a major change. Each asthma attack left him gasping for air while his mother stood nearby in fear. Doctors repeatedly told his parents that if they wanted their son to survive, they needed to move him to a dry climate as soon as possible. In the early 1950s, asthma caused the deaths of many children every year, and the risk was very real. Even simple activities like walking across a room could leave Wayne struggling to breathe. Many years later, even in 2007 after appearing on Dancing with the Stars, he still dealt with breathing issues connected to those difficult childhood years. Despite his health problems, Wayne discovered a love for music at a very young age. By 1948, when he was only 6 years old, he began performing with his older brother Jerry, who was 8. They called themselves the Rascals in Rhythm. They performed anywhere in Newark, Ohio, where someone would allow 2 young boys to take the stage. Wayne taught himself to play the piano, guitar, and steel guitar. Even as a child, he showed a level of seriousness and talent that impressed adults. People quickly noticed that Wayne often carried the act because Jerry sometimes needed help tuning his instrument before performances. The brothers played in small, smoky bars where adults talked loudly over drinks. It was not a typical childhood, but the money they earned helped their family survive. In 1952, when Wayne was 10 years old, doctors gave his parents a final warning. If they stayed in Ohio, Wayne might not live much longer. The family packed their belongings, left behind friends and familiar places, and drove across the country to Phoenix, Arizona. The dry desert air immediately helped Wayne's breathing. Within weeks, he felt stronger than ever before. While adjusting to the new environment, he and his brother searched for new places to perform. It was as if music gave them stability during uncertain times. The family had taken a major risk, but it slowly began to pay off. Not long after moving to Arizona, the brothers auditioned for a local television program called The Lou King Rangers Show on KPHO. They won the talent competition, and 10-year-old Wayne became a local star. The show was very popular and had once aired on hundreds of radio stations before becoming a television program. It had helped launch the careers of other future stars. Wayne performed so often that by age 15 he had his own local television show. He appeared 6 days a week and built a strong fan base in Phoenix. The boy who had once nearly died from asthma was now singing with confidence and strength. These early successes opened larger opportunities. Wayne and Jerry performed on traveling shows connected to the Grand Ole Opry and appeared on national television programs like ABC's Ozark Jubilee. They even performed for President Dwight D. Eisenhower. Wayne later said he never forgot seeing the president smiling at him from the audience. However, not everything went smoothly. When they auditioned for Ted Mack's original amateur hour, they were rejected. The disappointment hurt, but it did not stop them. In 1958, during Wayne's junior year of high school, a Las Vegas booking agent saw the brothers perform on television and invited them to audition at the Fremont Hotel in Las Vegas. On May 16, 1959, Wayne, who was only 15 years old, stepped onto the Fremont stage for what was supposed to be a 2-week engagement. Instead, the contract kept extending. 2 weeks became 1 year, then 2, then 5 full years. The schedule was intense. They performed 6 shows every night, 6 nights a week, totaling 36 shows each week. The stage revolved, meaning they had almost no breaks. When their turn came, the platform simply rotated, and Wayne was back under the lights. The workload forced Wayne to make a major decision. In 1959, he left high school without graduating to focus entirely on his career. The stamina he had developed fighting asthma as a child helped him survive the exhausting Vegas schedule. He learned that success was not just about singing well. His true gift was reading the audience and adjusting his performance based on their mood. He shaped each show around the crowd's energy, making every performance feel personal. Over time, he learned to play as many as 13 instruments on stage, even though he never learned to read sheet music. His ability to connect with audiences placed him among legends like Frank Sinatra and Elvis Presley. By age 20, Wayne had already performed more than 9,000 shows. In 1962, he sang Danny Boy during a private performance in Phoenix where Jackie Gleason was present. Gleason was impressed and invited Wayne to appear on his television variety show. Wayne debuted on the Jackie Gleason Show on September 29, 1962. Millions watched. Over the next 2 years, he appeared on the show 12 times, increasing his national fame. Gleason also arranged for Wayne to perform at the famous Copacabana nightclub in New York City. During one of those performances, singer Bobby Darin saw Wayne and made a surprising decision. Darin gave Wayne a song he had planned to record himself called Danky Schoen. He adjusted the arrangement to better fit Wayne's voice. Wayne recorded the song in 1963 at age 21. It became a major hit, reaching number 13 on the Billboard Hot 100 and selling more than 1 million copies. The song later gained renewed popularity when it appeared in the film Ferris Bueller's Day Off. More hits followed. Red Roses for a Blue Lady became successful in 1965. Daddy Don't You Walk So Fast, released in 1972, became one of the biggest hits of his career, reaching number 4 on the charts and selling more than 1 million copies. As his fame grew, so did his income. In 1970, he signed a major contract that paid him between $8 and $8.5 million per year for more than 500 shows. By the 1980s, he was earning around $25 million per year. He performed hundreds of shows annually and became known as Mr. Las Vegas. Over his career, he performed more than 25,000 shows in Vegas alone and entertained over 40 million people. By 1990, his net worth was estimated between $50 and $100 million. He owned real estate, co-owned the Aladdin Hotel for a time, and built a large estate called Casa de Shenandoah. However, financial problems began to grow. In 1992, he declared bankruptcy with about $20 million in debt. He returned to performing to rebuild his finances, showing the same determination he had as a sick child fighting to breathe. In 1980, before the bankruptcy, Wayne faced a terrifying situation. He began receiving detailed death threats. The threats targeted his 4-year-old daughter and included specific information about her daily routine. The caller threatened to kidnap and kill her. The fear was overwhelming. The threats followed a business dispute involving a line of credit that had been cut off. When police said they could not act until something actually happened, Wayne felt helpless. Desperate, he contacted a man he knew named Gaius Pinosi, who had connections to organized crime. Pinosi gave Wayne contact information for another man, Frank Piccolo. After this contact, the threats stopped. However, authorities later identified Posessions as connected to the Gambino crime family. In October 1980, NBC aired an investigative report suggesting that Wayne had mob connections and had used mob money to help finance his purchase of the Aladdin Hotel. The broadcast implied he had not been honest with gaming authorities. Millions of viewers watched the report, and it severely damaged his reputation. Wayne insisted that he had only contacted Posessions because of the threats against his daughter. He claimed the network left out important details. In 1981, Wayne filed a defamation lawsuit against NBC and several executives and reporters, seeking more than $10 million in damages. The legal battle lasted for years. During the trial in 1986, testimony revealed that the financing for the Aladdin Hotel came from legitimate banking sources, not mob money. However, investigators also testified that Wayne may not have fully disclosed his connections when questioned. The court battle was long and exhausting, adding further stress to his life and finances. Although Wayne continued performing and remained a Las Vegas icon, the damage to his reputation and the financial strain from lawsuits and business deals deeply affected his wealth. Over the years, additional lawsuits, tax issues, and business problems continued to drain his fortune. Eventually, items from his famous estate were put at risk of being sold. Personal belongings collected over decades, including sentimental family items, were threatened with auction. Despite everything, Wayne Newton never stopped performing. Even in his 80s, he continues to appear on stage in Las Vegas. The same determination that helped him survive childhood asthma and build a legendary career keeps him going. His life has been filled with incredible success, painful setbacks, public controversy, and financial hardship. Yet he remains standing, still singing, still performing, and still carrying the title of Mr. Las Vegas, even after facing challenges that might have ended the career of many others. During the long court case against NBC, more surprising details came out. A gaming agent admitted that he had written a report raising concerns about Wayne Newton's connections, but his supervisors told him to remove those concerns because the state wanted the Aladdin Hotel reopened after being closed for 18 months. After 31 days of testimony, the case finally went to the jury in December 1986. 6 days later, the verdict shocked everyone in the courtroom. The jury awarded Newton $19.2 million in damages. The breakdown was severe for NBC. $5 million were given as punitive damages. Another $5 million were awarded for damage to his reputation. He received $7.9 million for lost income, $1.145 million for future income loss, and $225,000 for physical and mental suffering. The jury concluded that NBC had acted with malice and knew the broadcasts were false or misleading. Newton smiled briefly after hearing the verdict but did not speak publicly. NBC immediately announced it would appeal. During the trial, Newton spoke about how deeply the situation had affected him. He said the stress caused him to develop an ulcer. At that time, he was earning around $1 million per month, performing 2 shows a night, 7 nights a week, for 40 weeks each year. After the damaging broadcasts aired, many opportunities disappeared. Movie offers stopped coming. Television deals dried up. He also said that after a later broadcast in April 1981, new death threats began again. NBC argued that because he continued to earn large amounts of money, he had not been truly harmed. The jury disagreed. At the same time, the federal government was building its own case. In June 1981, prosecutors indicted Gaius Posessions and Frank Piccolo for conspiracy to extort Newton and others. The claim was that after helping stop the threats, Piccolo expected something in return. Before the case could fully unfold, Piccolo was shot and killed in September 1981 in what police described as a gang-related execution in Connecticut. Posessions was tried twice in 1982 and was acquitted both times. Newton testified in both trials. While these legal battles were happening, Newton was also building what he believed would be his permanent legacy in the desert. In 1966, at just 24 years old, he bought 5 acres of land in Paradise, Nevada. Over time, he expanded it into a nearly 40-acre estate called Casa Delaware Shenandoah. By the late 1970s, it included stables, ponds, oak trees, and a large white mansion completed in 1978. At its height, the estate was valued between $50 and $70 million. Inside were rare and valuable items, including a handwritten note from Elvis Presley, a gold microphone from Frank Sinatra, Jack Benny's famous violin, and a desk that once belonged to President Franklin D. Roosevelt. Outside, the property held 120 Arabian horses, exotic birds, penguins, wallabies, sloths, and peacocks. It was both a private home and a personal museum of his life. However, the money he earned so easily for years did not last forever. In August 1992, despite earning around $250,000 per week, Newton filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy with nearly $20 million in debt. Creditors began demanding payment. Banks, the IRS, and law firms all lined up. Reports later showed that even during bankruptcy, he continued spending heavily, including more than $163,000 on auction purchases. In 1995, another strange situation developed. Drug Enforcement Administration agents seized 17 famous paintings during a cocaine investigation. Records showed that several Renoir paintings had been purchased through Newton's account at Sotheby's. Newton testified that the paintings actually belonged to a friend from Texas. Years later, when the government prepared to auction the artwork, Newton suddenly claimed ownership. Then he changed his story again. Paperwork was filed late, explanations shifted, and eventually the situation faded without a clear conclusion. Over time, his financial problems built up slowly and then all at once. His friendship with billionaire NASCAR businessman Bruton Smith eventually became another financial burden. In 2006, Newton borrowed $3.75 million. A year later, the loan was adjusted to $3.35 million and secured against his beloved Casa de Shenandoah estate and a Fokker F-28 aircraft worth more than $2 million. Newton assured Smith that the loan would never become an issue and said he would sell personal assets if needed. When the loan came due in May 2009, no payment was made. By October, Smith had purchased the unpaid loan from Bank of America. Formal demand notices followed, but Newton did not respond. In February 2010, Smith filed a foreclosure lawsuit in Nevada, accusing Newton of fraud and claiming he never intended to sell assets to repay the debt. That same month, sheriff's deputies arrived at Casa de Shenandoah to collect more than $500,000 owed to Newton's former pilot for unpaid wages. The original judgment had been $400,000, but interest caused it to grow daily. Deputies were turned away from the property. At the same time, Newton was fighting the IRS over $1.8 million in back taxes from the late 1990s. The financial pressure was intense. By June 2010, Newton made a major decision. He sold Casa de Shenandoah for $18.7 million, plus another $10 million for nearby land, bringing the total to nearly $28.7 million. The buyer was a company mostly owned by Texas billionaires Lacey and Dorothy Harbour. Newton kept a 20% ownership stake. The plan was to turn the ranch into a Las Vegas tourist attraction, similar to Graceland. It would display his memorabilia, cars, airplanes, and horses. Investors reportedly poured between $50 and $60 million into the project. A new $2 million home was planned for Newton and his family on the property. The grand opening was scheduled for 2011. But the dream collapsed quickly. In May 2012, the new owners sued to evict Newton. Shortly after, a judge granted Newton a restraining order requiring one of the executives to stay away from his family. The accusations became serious. The company claimed the estate was in terrible condition when they bought it. They described large piles of manure, strong odors in the stables, and poor conditions for animals. They also claimed that Newton's dogs roamed freely and had bitten workers. Newton denied all of these accusations. The lawsuit grew even uglier. The company accused Newton of harassment toward a young manager and claimed his behavior drove her away. They said workers had to climb onto cars and trees to escape aggressive dogs. They accused him of taking nearly $20 million with no intention of fully turning over the property or memorabilia for the museum. Newton's lawyer strongly denied these claims and blamed the investors' poor management and permit problems for the project's failure. By October 2012, the business plan was officially finished. The company filed for bankruptcy and told the court the attraction would never generate enough revenue. They were reportedly down to their last few $100. Bankruptcy documents valued Casa de Shenandoah at about $50.8 million. After months of negotiations, a confidential settlement was reached in April 2013. In June 2013, Newton and his family left the estate for the final time after living there for 45 years. For him, losing the property meant losing a place that had defined his identity for nearly half a century. The final blow came years later. In July 2019, Casa de Shenandoah sold for only $5.56 million. That price represented a drop of more than 90% from its earlier valuation. The buyer was an anonymous company called Smoketree LLC. Earlier that year, Newton had offered $6 million to buy the property back, but his offer was not accepted. What hurt him even more was not knowing who had purchased it. Newton insisted that the sale included only the land and buildings, not his personal belongings. Inside the estate were deeply personal items, including his baby shoes, his wife's wedding dress, costumes made by his mother, letters from Elvis Presley, Sinatra's microphone, Jack Benny's violin, Jackie Gleason's pool cue, Bobby Darin's bow tie, and Nat King Cole's watch. To him, these items were not simply expensive objects. They represented his entire life and career. Smoketree claimed that anything left on the property belonged to them. Newton feared that his life's memories could be auctioned off. In August 2019, he filed a lawsuit asking the court to stop the company from selling or moving anything. In February 2020, a judge ruled that Smoketree could not sell or remove the items while the case continued. It was not a final victory, but it gave Newton hope. Today, Wayne Newton's life stands as a story of incredible success mixed with painful financial mistakes and legal battles. He has performed more than 30,000 shows and entertained over 40 million people. He once earned $25 million a year. He once filed for bankruptcy with $20 million in debt. He rebuilt his net worth to around $50 million. Yet even in his 80s, he continues to perform several nights a week in Las Vegas. The loans, lawsuits, failed business deals, and a lifetime of spending made sure that retirement was never truly an option. He remains on stage, still singing, still smiling, and still carrying the title of Mr. Las Vegas, even after everything he has faced.